Guys, today we're going to do a tier list, and today's tier list is going to be tank modules. So, first of all, we've got smoke launchers. They're very cheap. They give a little bit of defense, a little bit of breakthrough. Overall, they're just a bit crap. The reason why they're not very good is because tanks don't focus on defense. Tanks are all about attacking. Sure, they're cheap. Sure, it gives a bit of breakthrough, but overall, they're just not very good. Next up is wet ammunition storage. Gives a massive 15% reliability, cost of 1 production cost. In all fairness, it's not actually that bad because a 15% extra reliability is pretty good. But overall, it's not amazing. It's just average tier. If you're struggling with reliability, with a division that has like 500 tanks in it, this is going to be a lifesaver from saving you from burning through too many tanks. Next up is extra ammunition storage. This has no production costs. It's free. Gives you 4 defense, which once again, defense isn't good on tanks, but a nice 2 breakthrough. So all fairness, if you stack these on empty slots on tanks, it will give you loads of extra breakthrough. Minus 10 reliability though. This is actually really, really, really good. If you are making a tank that isn't focused on reliability, such as a light tank recon, for instance, you might as well fill out all the slots with this. When I discovered this was free, it blew my mind, and I've started using it more and more in divisions. Next up, we have sloped armor. It gives you an extra 20% extra armor on your tank, 20% based on the base amount of armor it's got, and it will cost you 1% more production cost. This is one of these upgrades that if you're using a tank that isn't very well armored, this bonus is 20%. I mean, 20% of 1 is 1.2%, 1.2, which is pointless if you think about it. It's not a massive increase. It's not worth it. But if you're putting this on a tank that has a lot of armor to begin with, it will astronomically increase the amount of armor on it. It is above a late game one. It is real. It's really, really strong in certain circumstances. I'm going to give it an S tier. Honest fairness, I don't think I'm going to move sloped armor. Sloped armor is boss in real life, and it is also pretty boss in HOI4. The only one exception, if it's a very small, cheap tank, sloped armor probably isn't very cost effective. You know, when I think about it, I'm actually retracting that a little bit. The only downside of sloped armor that I can think of is it costs 10 XP to add it onto a tank. Maybe I'll change my mind on that one. Next one is a modern turret, which is really bizarre. Get this, guys. You research the interwar tank and you get the modern turret. I mean, the modern turret is pretty base, to be totally honest with you. It has insane breakthrough, but man, it's so expensive. It is an A tier. If you can afford modern tanks, which of course I've always talked about modern tanks, they're insanely strong. They are really, really, really good. And if you can afford them, get them. But in all honesty, it's one of those late game tech items that you never really get to see that often. All right, so we've got lots of turrets now. The 3-mans, the 1-mans, the 2-mans. In all fairness, if you go in for breakthrough, you want to go for the most men per turret. That gives you the most breakthrough. So let's just presume this is the maximum amount of men per turret. In all fairness, it is a good upgrade, and there's not really much reason why you shouldn't go for it with lots of breakthrough. So it is going to be A tier. Now, if you're going to go for a cheap turret, on the other hand, though, like for instance this, the 1-man turret, it's very, very cheap. Doesn't offer you a lot of breakthrough, but this is a tank you want to add on to, like for instance, a flame tank, one that doesn't particularly need a lot of production costs, a lot of breakthrough. That's where it'll benefit you. The only one other exception is the fixed light superstructure. Loses your breakthrough. Relatively cheap, not expensive, not cheap, but somewhere in the middle. Gives you reliability, don't gives you defense. It's a bit of a weird one because it's only really one you use for SPGs or AAs, for instance, so it is not like the best of the best. But in all fairness, it is decent and it is a specific use item, so I'll pop that into B tier. So just to be aware, I've grouped all the different man turrets together, and I've also grouped all the fixed superstructures together. They're practically all the same anyway. Just the bigger the turret you put on, the more expensive it is, and the better stats you get. That's basically it. All right, the next up is interweaved road wheels. You lose a little bit of reliability, cost you 1 production, but you gain a little bit of breakthrough. It is okay. It's one of those ones where you're squeezing every little bit of breakthrough out of the tank that you've got. And in all fairness, if you have the option to do it and you have the production to do it, I feel like you should do it because extra breakthrough of 4 is pretty decent, and it is focused mainly on attacking, which is also good. The bougie suspension, which does nothing. It does nothing. It is basically your standard suspension. Costs you nothing, does nothing. But in all fairness, is A tier because at the end of the day, if you want a suspension that has no cost whatsoever, that's the one you go for. Bougie for the win. Next up is the Christie suspension. Honestly, I'm not a big speed guy, but in all fairness, for 1 production cost for speed, it is pretty decent. It doesn't blow me away, but it is okay. It goes under B tier. Cast armor, man. Cast armor. It gives a massive 50% extra armor, 4 defense, 4 breakthrough, but a massive extra 20% extra production cost. It's one of those ones where if you have so much production, you don't know what to do with it, it is the one you go for. But in all fairness, the production cost on this one is astronomical, and it really, really does add up. I'm going to give it a C tier. It's very specific when you need it. Be aware, though, riveted armor, which we'll come on to next, is a plus 40% extra armor cost and is unbelievably cheaper than this. Hence the reason why you'll see riveted armor is going to rank a lot higher. Oh god, the petro electric engine. You lose 50 reliability. 2 production costs. It also increases the amount of production costs by plus 15. It has extra fuel usage, but you gain increase of defense by 15% and increase of breakthrough of 15%. Once again, if you are stacking lots and lots of breakthrough on your tank and you want to go through the roof with breakthrough, I guess this is for the win, but man, the production cost is just freaking incredible. The only time I feel like the petrol electric engine is useful is in some of the more later variants. Medium tanks have 160 reliability, so the only tanks that can really take it on board and actually take advantage of it are the more up-to-date tanks. So in all fairness, it is going to be a D tier. I'm so sorry if you love the petrol electric boys, but unfortunately it is not very good. Next up we have the diesel engine. What it basically does, it gives you reliability, has a little bit of production cost, and obviously has fuel cost. It is what it is, really. These are the minimum numbers for production cost and fuel usage. So in all fairness, it is the bare minimum. And what can I say? It is what it is, really. It is just a basic engine that gives reliability. You can't complain. If you don't want the extra reliability, though, you're going to go for the gasoline engine. It has a base amount of 0.5 extra speed, plus it also gives you extra max speed of 15%. This is very situational in a way, because I feel like if your tank's not fast enough, like if it's like 3.5 kilometers per hour, this will push it over the edge and make it 5 kilometers per hour, and it might be worth the extra production cost of +1. So in all fairness, this is actually kind of decent. So I'm actually going to give this a B tier. Once again, it's situational, but I feel like it's not universal where you'll always want to use it. If you're a speed freak, hey, rank's pretty high for you. If you're not, then unfortunately, you're probably never going to use it. Next up is riveted armor, minus 20% extra production cost. I am a big advocate for cheap tanks that you can mass produce and pump them out 1,000, a dozen every second. Riveted armor is one of those techs. Rivet armor in my heart is ranked really highly because I really love the ability to produce and mass produce tanks. So A tier for the win. Next up is torsion bar, man. Torsion bar. It's one of those ones like you really desperately need reliability. Not really, because wet ammunition storage offers you 50% reliability for 1 production cost. The only difference is, I suppose, is that you're taking up a module slot for your wet ammunition storage. So unfortunately, it is a D tier. When would you even need this? But it's an emergency. If you need reliability, that's the one you go for. Basic armor protection is this one here, and it unlocks welded armor. Welded armor is basically cast armor, but superior in practically every single way. Cast armor offers 50% extra armor, offers 40% under riveted. There's no increase in production costs, and instead of getting +4 for breakthrough and defense, you get +2. Welded is superior in almost every single way. There's no doubt about it. Welded is S tier. S tier, S tier, S tier. Next up is the second armor protection. You get armor skirts. So for a very small cost of 0.5 production cost, you get what tanks already do really well. Tanks do breakthrough because that's what their job is, and also tanks do armor, which is what already their job is. Basically, you're getting a module here that's cheap, but gives you everything that tanks already need anyway. So there's like, this is amazing upgrade. Honestly, it's one of the best ones as well. A S tier. Who doesn't love some good skirts on their tanks? Put your hands up if you like skirts on your tanks. Amphibious drive. Loses reliability, increases production cost +10. It also has a production cost of +2. It's added as a module. It's one of those really weird ones, really, because you get the ability to make an average tank into amphibious. It has a special forces requirement. You lose some hardness as well. It's just okay, I guess. It's nice to have the ability to make your tank amphibious. It gives you good bonus for amphibious and rivers and marshes. So it's kind of okay, but nah, in fairness, it really, really isn't. It's not something you ever really want to do. Amphibious, you lose hardness. You also get a high production cost. You lose reliability, which is a painful, but it's not that bad. You have a special forces limit, which is the most painful thing of them all, really. Super heavy cannon. So it does disastrous amount of soft attack and hard attack. The cost is astronomical. And look at the amount of piercing on this baby. Oh my goodness. The piercing is insane, but you lose all your reliability by firing the shot on this gun. It's okay, I guess. It really is okay. It's a meme. It's a meme. Calm your titties down. It's just a meme, all right? It's just a meme, boys. The wheeled suspension. So wheeled suspension reduces hardness of the tank. It reduces your reliability, and it makes the tank 10% cheaper. This is very situational. It's like you want a cheap tank, you don't care about hardness, and you don't care about reliability. Recon tanks. But when it is used to its most effectiveness, it is actually pretty decent. Hence the reason why it's B tier. In all fairness, though, a mainline battle line tank will not use this because you need your reliability to be at least 95 to 100. You need hardness because that's what tanks are all about. And losing the production cost, 10% is not enough to justify losing these valuable stats. The half-track suspension. So basically, it's the wheeled suspension, but not as good. It's like a half version. You've gone kind of halfway. It's kind of strange, really, because I feel like it should be the opposite way around almost. At the end of the day, the reason why you go for these wheeled suspensions is because it makes the tanks cheaper, but then you're losing some of the discount. Why would you ever do that? I don't know. Next up, support companies. We have got the dozer blade and the flamer. So flamer is specific only to a flame tank. tank. The stats wise are absolutely awful, but at the end of the day, you want it because you want the stat for the tanks. In this case, you get the big bonuses. It's hard to grade this really low in all fairness because flame tanks are really, really good at the moment. So they have to be graded really highly, even though overall the stats of this are absolutely rubbish. I mean, in all fairness, if you're using flamers, turrets on regular tanks, you are being silly. But in all fairness, if you grade it as a flame tank, you're doing the right thing. The dozer blade, I've thought about this really hard. It's a one situational thing where you'll want to add entrenchment to your tank. And it is kind of cool that you can add so much extra entrenchment to a tank division. Once again, it's a tank division. When did tanks to defend? They're an offensive weapon. So unfortunately, as much as this is a cool, fancy, cool meme and everything, unfortunately, it's just not very good. Now, don't get me wrong, guys. Don't get me wrong. Defensive tanks and dozer blades are really cool when they stack them. And I want to make a video on it at some point on my main channel. It isn't worth the production cost for getting just one entrenchment. It used to be 2, and you should be able to stack like 30 entrenchment on a tank. It used to be stupid, but they had to nerf it. They had to. Okay, the next one is under maintenance 2, and it is easy maintenance. It's basically wet ammunition storage, but free. You can only add one of these onto a tank, but they're free. There's no production cost for this. All you gotta do is research maintenance 2. It gives you 10% reliability instead of the 15 that you get from wet ammunition storage. And what can you complain? It's free. It's free. It's free. It's free. It's free. What can I say? If you've got an extra slot and you below 100% reliability, it's a mainline battle tank. This is beautiful because it fills the slot out and it gives you the reliability back. So why complain, right? The stabilizer. Stabilizer gives a massive gargantuan 5 breakthrough. Remember, that's what tanks do, okay? But unfortunately, it has a big cost as well. 2 production costs for the stabilizer. It is under improved computing machine. Probably didn't even know this was even here. Yeah, it allows you to accurately fire more accurately. It is pretty decent, but unfortunately, the production cost is just a little bit high for my liking. So I'm going to put that into C tier. It is decent. 5 breakthrough is not something you want to turn your nose up at, but unfortunately, the production cost is 2. It's just really expensive, man. And it really adds up on your tank. So it's just something I can't recommend. Now we've got the radios. The first one, 25 defense, 15 breakthrough. Then we've got 45, 30. And then the final one is 65 defense and 45 breakthrough. Once again, it's one of those situational ones where if you're stacking lots and lots of breakthrough, it is worthwhile. But if you're not stacking the breakthrough, it kind of doesn't work. So, I mean, it is good. And those percentage increases are good. And I don't deny that it's essential for a really hardline battle tank. But unfortunately, the cost, the research requirement, as well as the fact that it's a percentage increase, just don't make it that great in all fairness. You can say no to radios. Your historical roleplay person inside you is screaming, saying, no, French tanks, radios, no, no, no. But the truth is, based on the stats for stats basis, unfortunately, radios are just not that great. We have the GT, the gas turbine engine. So it gives a boost of 0.5 speed, but it gives you a massive boost of 25%. Remember, it's a percentage increase. You want to put a big engine stats on the tank itself to begin with. Therefore, it increases this percentage by a higher amount. Loses 10% reliability. Fuel consumption is incredibly high, and the production cost is pretty high. This is a meme. It really is a meme. Don't get me wrong. Can use this to get some maximum speed, but unfortunately, it's just not good. I'm sorry, guys. I know you like the memes, but the regular engines are better than this because the cost is just lower, and overall, the fuel consumption is just horrendously high. I know there's a part of you that probably thinks, oh, future technology is the way forward, but try and understand when these technologies were broken through, they weren't very good to very begin with. Think of the early jet engines and the early jet planes. The same with the gas turbine engines inside of the tanks as well. They just wouldn't have been that cost effective or that great in production. So we have the small cannon. This is a module cannon, so basically making a land battleship, basically. High production cost, lose reliability, you lose speed, you lose some armor. Oh my goodness. And you gain a most puny amount of hard attack, soft attack, and breakthrough. I'm sorry, but extra cannons on tanks is just not worth in every single way. It's just not cost effective. Listen, if you want to do the memes with a tank with 1,000 cannons, you do the memes, okay? But they're not cost effective, all right? They're not very good. Sorry, I'm sorry, I'm sorry. So the regular cannon is an interesting one. So this is a cannon that isn't a high velocity. It isn't an artillery cannon, and it's not an anti-tank weapon. It is just solely a regular cannon. But overall, you get a good balance of hard attack, soft attack. You don't suffer from the biggest penalties of speed or reliability, and the production cost is just kind of okay. And the piercings are always really, really decent. This is actually a really decent cannon, and I can't really degrade it any way, shape, or form. It is a B tier. Okay, so let's talk about the high velocity cannons, okay? This is all what the right-hand side is. The high velocity guns. All these big babies. High velocity. So here we go. The advanced high velocity gun. So what you're doing is you're sacrificing soft attack for hard attack and sacrificing soft attack for piercing as well. Overall, I can't really argue with the production cost or the reliability or the speed reduction because this is a very, 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 very big gun. And once again, I'm putting all the high velocity guns into one category just to make it easy for you to understand. The reason why I don't rave about high velocity guns, even though they're kind of the meta MP, is that they're overkill. AI don't really make big tank divisions, and when they do, they tend to burn out really quickly, and you don't have to deal with them that very much. If the AI was prioritized to making 40 with tank divisions, this would be really essential and be really worthwhile. worthwhile. But in all fairness, the AI doesn't do this. Don't get me wrong. It would give you the maximum piercing potential. But be aware, in a single player game, this is way, way too overkill. And I'm a single player guy. Oh God, stay mad, guys. Stay so mad, D tier. Once again, guys, if you play a multiplayer game, it's a different story. Okay, it's a different story in a single player game, in a multiplayer game. In single player, on the other hand, the high velocity gun is overkill. It is so overkill. Next up is the auto loader. It is at the very bottom of all of these artillery branches. The auto loader offers you a decent amount of defense and breakthrough, but it's just a little bit pricey, that's all. Because remember, you're adding defense on a tank when tanks are used for offensive purposes, so it makes me think, what's the point of this, really? It's okay. I'll give it a C tier. We've got rockets. Rocket tanks, that's right. If there's something I'm missing here, like maybe they have some hidden stats that I'm not familiar with, but overall, the stats in rockets, the mount on the turrets of tanks, are horrendously dreadful. They reduce the breakthrough of the tank. The soft attack is crap. The hard attack is non-existent. You lose speed. You have no piercing. Just no piercing. Forget about piercing. It's not going to happen. You lose some reliability. And the production cost is just okay, I guess, compared to the others. My understanding is you don't actually gain any bonuses for them either. Yeah, the rockets are not even here. So all the other bonuses you would normally get aren't even listed. Honestly, guys, these are terrible and they need to be buffed. I think maybe PDX have forgotten about them. They're just absolutely dreadful. Listen, you want to roleplay and you like roleplaying, you roleplay with your little wazoomy rocky tanks. Don't get me wrong. Roleplay with your little rocky tanks, all right? But stats for stats wise, they are horrendously abysmal. So the Howitzer is interesting because it offers you like crap tons of soft attack, just ridiculous amounts, basically no hard attack. Oh, actually, I thought the piercing was low too, but it's not. You actually get decent piercing on the Howitzers. I never knew that. It's very similar to high velocity cannon. The stats are awesome. I think they're slightly overkill. Not so much of the anti-tank version, because a lot of the time you have more soft attack, you get to take advantage of it anyway. But no, honestly, if you're making tanks, you're focusing on breakthrough and armor. I don't know. I guess I like the fact that it has good soft attack because you can always have more soft attack. The piercing's also pretty decent as well. But in all fairness, it just feels a little bit overkill to me. There's nothing wrong with it. It's decent, but it's just overkill. So unfortunately, I'm gonna have to put it under also the C tier. Don't get me wrong. I think Howitzers are really good. It's just that I think you can get more bang for your buck, production cost and reliability if you went for a different turret, which you will soon see in a second. And here we have the anti-tank gun. So specifically, this is an anti-tank tank. Abysmal soft attack, abysmal hard attack. It's got loads of air attack. You're shooting down that cast. Piercing's okay. It's not amazing. It's just okay. You lose a bit of reliability and they're fairly cheap. Do you know what? They're actually okay. They're not actually dreadful. They're not actually really bad. The only issue is that you're not getting soft attack and you have to focus more on using your armor and your breakthrough to make breakthroughs. But in all fairness, if you've got an anti-air tank that focuses on breakthrough and armor, and you've got your anti-air capabilities, you basically got a tank that does everything anyway. So the soft attack and hard attack don't even really matter. This actually is really, really good. And it's surprising me actually that people don't even make more anti-air tanks, because I think they are really, really freaking good. Close support gun is actually really good too. It has fantastic soft attack early game. So straight away from day one, you can go for interwar artillery, hop onto close support gun. Production cost of the resources is low. The production cost is quite high, the base amount, but overall you get a lot of soft attack quite early game for that. So this is actually a really, really good gun early game. It used to be my old meta, but unfortunately I moved away from that since then. Now you're about to enter my baby. Are you ready for this, boys? Dave's baby is coming up. The classic feedback gaming tank is about to arrive. The proved auto cannon. Here it is, boys. It's hard, this one, because people look at the stats in this and they're like, why would you pick this? This is super cost effective. The loss of speed and reliability, tiny. Production cost, insignificant, very tiny. You got a juicy piercing. Hard attack is a bit shit, I'll admit that, but the soft attack is fantastic. Why I choose the improved autocannon is because the cost for it compared to the amount of soft attack you get out of it is huge. It's bloody huge. So the difference is if you're getting 20 soft attack out of 2 production costs, like if you compare that to, let's say, an improved small cannon, you're paying 15 soft attack to get 3 production costs. Just the cost effectiveness of the improved autocannon is just fantastic. You already know what's coming. You know what's going to happen. The improved autocannon is my baby. There you go. It sits right there. And there we go. There is the full tier list of tank modules at your fingertips. Wowee. You love this video? Well, this one you're going to love even more.